I'm Brian Regala.
I'm Tyler West, and we're two college students from North Carolina.
When we're not in class, this is where you'll find us.
It's really slippery when you're going downhill.
This is crazy.
That sounds like bacon cooking that.
Where are we? Well, it's a good thing you asked. We're in Kansas. This is the first leg of what we call our Great American Road Trip.
And how did we find a vat of writhing rattlesnakes in Kansas? With a little Googling, you can find anything.
Ooh, this guy. He's got a jackalope.
Now the reason these guys are white, they're going to start shedding their skin in a week, and then they will be really, really pretty. The big ones are diamondbacks, the little ones are prairie rattlers, and they cannot jump 4 feet straight up.
This is Larry Farmer. He owns the Prairie Dog Village here in Oakley, Kansas. And rattlesnakes aren't the only animals he cares for.
Look at that. What is it? 2 prairie dogs.
Over the years, Larry has collected everything from giant rabbits to 5-legged cows.
It's got a leg. Unless it's that thing. What? No, I see something definitely coming out of the back.
But the biggest reason to visit Larry's Prairie Dog Village is the world's largest prairie dog.
So, we're in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and we saw a sign for the world's largest prairie dog, so of course we had to stop in. And it turns out that this little guy here is the world's largest prairie dog. What's this about the largest?
The largest prairie dog is cement, weighs 8,000 pounds. Elephants don't even get that big. That's why we made it that big. Yeah.
That's why it's
Just
fine
$5.
to
Just $5. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Farmer is one of those people who make road trips memorable. Honestly, talking with him is well worth the $7 admission.
That's 8.5 foot of snake, and he missed the world record by 1.5 foot.
Brian and I really didn't want to leave Oakland, Kansas.
But what we didn't know was that our next great adventure was just around the corner. Well, we drove 2,500 miles in 3 days and finally made it to Missoula, Montana. Now it's day 2 and we've gotten a little restless already, so we decided to spend this Saturday doing something a little bit unusual.
So today we woke up and decided to go to Lolo National Forest, which is about 30 miles from Missoula. So the transportation mode of choice, you ask, is a bicycle, but not a road bicycle. This is a mountain bike with road bike tires, and Brian has a mountain bike with mountain bike tires.
Yes, you heard me right. We're attempting to bike 50 miles with the wrong bicycles. Classic.
Not to mention that it's 91 degrees and the 4th of July.
From Missoula, we headed up. And yes, that's considered a direction here in Montana. Our final destination was supposed to be Lolo Pass at the Idaho-Montana border.
Don't try this at home. It's a steady grade all the way from Missoula. I don't know why I let Tyler talk me into this. Well, we stopped for a little rest because this is a little bit harder than we thought it would be. We're about 15 miles from our destination, which you can see behind me is Lolo Peak.
Honestly, we're starting to rethink our whole plan for this trip. But we'll make it.
And the reason that this is so hard is because of all the stuff that we have with us.
So just to give you an overview of what not to take when you're biking 50 miles, don't put a tripod on the outside of your backpack. Don't put a sleeping bag on the outside of your backpack. And don't stuff a college backpack full of food.
So we've had to stop a few more times than we would have liked to, but we're making progress, and that's what really matters. Highway 12 to Idaho isn't exactly the most remote part of Montana. but it was the path the Lewis and Clark expedition took to reach Oregon.
Now it will be known as the Great Failure of the Rogala West expedition, because we didn't make it.
We stopped near the headwaters of the Columbia River to cool off, and that's where we stayed. Well, we stopped biking, but we're not really where we're supposed to be. Tyler did a little miscalculation on the mileage, and instead of biking 20 miles, we biked 32 and then decided we had to stop because we were dead.
So Bryan, what was your favorite part of the day?
Probably the point where we'd already gone 15 miles and the mileage sign for Lolo Peak still said 25 miles.
A little mileage miscalculation never hurt anyone.
Once we set up camp, things started looking better, and we got hungry. Our backcountry specialty is macaroni.
We've got macaroni and cheese, which both of us are thoroughly looking forward to. But we also have ramen noodles. So I don't think we'll go to bed hungry, we just won't go to bed full.
We can't really even cook that. That macaroni turned to mush.
Whoops! Oh.
So on our 2 short days we've spent in Montana, we've learned 2 things about Montanans. Number 1 is that they're all really nice. And number 2, well, I don't know what that is. But, for instance, we showed up at this campground. We obviously look like we're not from here or something because people have come over, they split wood for us a few minutes ago, and now we've got some fire starter from a nice gentleman over there. After we ate, we were already thinking about going to bed. It had been a long day, especially for me. So we brought these hammocks today with us because they're a lot lighter than taking a tent, and we didn't really have room for a tent. So they're kind of nice. You don't have to sleep on the ground, and they compact pretty small. So it's a good thing to have when you're trying to go ultralight or bike or kayak or something like that.
You left out one thing.
What's that?
You forgot to mention that my hammock has neither a rain tarp or a mosquito net. So if it rains tonight, it's going to be bad news. And if the mosquitoes show up, which they pretty much already have, it's going to be painful. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Mosquitoes or not, sitting beside a campfire in the Bitterroots is priceless.
In the morning, it was back to Missoula, and this time it was downhill the whole way.
In 48 hours, we biked into the Bitterroots, camped, and made it back to Missoula in time to watch the sunset.
For the second leg of our Great American Road Trip, we left Missoula and headed south to Colorado.
For the first time in months, we were heading east.
We still had 2 things to knock off our bucket list. 1, visit the cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde. And 2, visit a good old Colorado ski town.
That meant the first stop today had to be Mesa Verde National Park.
We're here in Mesa Verde National Park, and there are tons of people. It's one of those things that you have to make a sacrifice because this is definitely something that you need to see.
The ruins of Mesa Verde were built by the Anasazi in the 1200s, but it wasn't until 1873 that they were discovered by white settlers. So I'm really having a hard time believing that people actually built houses into the cliffside like this. It's pretty amazing.
The house was built around the year 1200, finished building about the year 1250. Same time they were building Stuttgart Castle and the King England signed Magna Carta.
This is Spruce Tree House, and it's one of the most visited areas of the park. But you can always find ways to get around the crowd.
You know what? I wonder how they got all these rocks to stick in here.
I don't know, some kind of mortar probably.
The mortar is made out of local soil, sand, ash from the fires, water and urine.
You said water and urine?
Water and urine.
How did that work?
It's working quite well. These have been here for 800 years.
Sanitation probably wasn't very important back then. But they really did build things to last.
Our only regret at Mesa Verde was that we didn't plan ahead for a guided tour. They book fast.
Well, at least now we know we can make a hut out of our own urine.
After Mesa Verde, we prepared ourselves for the last hurrah, the San Juan Mountains of Colorado.
The drive through the Colorado Rockies rivaled everything we had seen in the last 7,000 miles. And so did Silverton. It's just really cool. This is like a classic Rocky Mountain ski town.
This is the epitome of a Colorado mountain town, so I think we should definitely stay here tonight.
Silverton looks like a pretty cool place.
And another reason why we're not driving any farther is because we're both starving. Absolutely starving.
What Tyler didn't know was that he wasn't going to be eating anytime soon.
This one was my fault, and I take full responsibility. Bryan and I decided to make a little bet on whether I had the guts to sleep in an abandoned miner shack.
So my beanie's the only thing that I need. I've got long socks, boots, a thermal layer under these pants, a thermal layer under my jacket.
We managed to find an abandoned miners camp at 11,000 feet, and that's where Tyler decided to stay for the night. He's stubborn, but he did win the bet. Think of how eerie a conversation this will be right here. People watch this, and this is the last tape.
Are you trying to scare me and not stand? It's fine. People camp up here all the time. I'm not worried about it.
All right.
I admit, this was not my smartest moment.
Tell that to Jack the Miner when he comes looking for you tonight.
Jack the Miner.
I think you're above 10,000 feet.
11,000, 12.
Let's put it this way. We're almost at the top, and the bottom at the town of Silverton was 7.
It was 9, actually.
Oh. You're definitely above
Even
10,
worse.
buddy. Good luck. You don't have a phone or anything. You're all by yourself. Just remember that.
And there I was, all alone, on a mountainside somewhere in Colorado.
You know what? There's nothing to be worried about out here. People camp by themselves all the time. I just happen to have the luxury of camping in a cabin that hundreds of people have camped in, I'm sure.
I don't know about hundreds of people, but the cabin did have a few amenities.
Somebody left some charcoal lighter fluid, which I'm sure will come in handy. Somebody left some cups, matches, a light that doesn't work, I already tried. The most disappointing part about this cabin by far is the stove. It looks like somebody just tried to put a new pipe in because they scraped off the labels, but they haven't gone all the way to the top. So if I lit that, I'd be smoked out tonight.
It was getting cold. Now that I'd established that I couldn't have a fire in the stove, I took operations outside. I gathered enough firewood for the night and started the fire. The fire served 2 purposes, warmth and food.
Although Brian's not here, I've got to give him credit because I'm using most of his gear. And a little thing that you need when you bring the cook stove is cook fuel. Didn't have it. But I have a fire, and I found an old pot in the cabin. And that's what I'm cooking my rice on tonight. I'm sure it will be good.
That rice was pretty good, and I wasn't the only one who was hungry.
There he goes. Come here. Look at that thing. Ah, crap. You can't see him. A huge, like 25-pound porcupine just crawled out of my cabin.
I finally convinced myself that the porcupine wasn't going to eat me, and I forced myself to sleep. I was so glad to see the sunrise.
So I made it through the night here in this creepy old miner's cabin somewhere in Colorado. And the good thing about the night was I didn't have to use this broom to beat away the porcupine. However, I did hear him chewing on something outside all night long.
I packed up my sleeping bag and took a last look at the area. In the daylight, I could see dozens of these miner shacks, and that's what makes the San Juan Mountains so special. Although sleeping in that cabin was the coolest thing I'd ever done, I was ready to see the Jeep again.
So I see Brian over there. He showed up right on time, which is good. I didn't really want to stay up here any longer than I had to.
All right, so I'm sure you're all wondering why I chose not to stay up here in the old miners' camp last night. The truth is, I had no desire to stay in an old, rundown miner's shack. Not gonna lie.
So 45 degrees. Let's say it got below freezing last night. What is the elevation, do you know?
11,334 feet.
I like it. 11,334 feet. a monster, hugely obese porcupine, and freezing temperatures.
I would like to point out that once Bryan found out I was unscathed, he wanted his gear back.
All right, cook stove,
Check.
Leatherman,
Check.
hand warmers,
Check.
and my passport.
Uh-huh.
I didn't bring cooking fuel, but
But you got your passport.
I have my passport and some Canadian money.
Man, you are always prepared.
I'm also always up for another adventure, and in this case, that was exploring the mine shaft itself.
All right, so after I picked Tyler up, we decided to come up here and check out the old mine shaft. And it's pretty crazy. So, there, the old mine shaft. It's locked off. Otherwise, we'd probably rappel down into it.
So we can't really see how deep this thing is. I'm gonna drop this rock down in there, and inevitably there's water down in the bottom.
They'd bring the silver up through that shaft we just showed you, and they'd dump it on down here, and a cart would be waiting somewhere around here. You can see the tracks, and then they'd cart it on down the mountain. Speaking of down the mountain, that's exactly where we needed to be. We'll probably remember this road trip when we're 90. It's been unforgettable.
We're lucky. Not many people can say they've lived in Montana, hiked the Rockies, camped in a miner's shack, and driven 10,000 miles all in one summer.
But we did it. Barely. And the beauty is, we never had any clue what we were doing.